let's jump right in with some introductions. And I'll go first. My name's Damien. I've been playing D&D for 20 years plus ish, somewhere. I don't know. One of those numbers. It's at least 15 years. 17's about right, I think, if I really want to break it down. But anyway, I've been DMing a good portion of that time. I've DM'd for friends and family. Just about every edition except for first, at least a little bit. Well, I technically never DM'd second edition. Played just about probably 20 different types of RPGs, pen and paper, and an avid gamer. And looking forward to getting this campaign kicked off. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope everybody enjoys it. Who wants to go next? Or we're going to roll off?
I think we should go by
D4.
D4. Yeah, there we go.
Nope.
I think...
roll goes next.
Alright.
So if you roll highest, you're a loser.
Look at that, 2!
Alright, now that I get my voice in, there it is.
Oh, I guess it's Jeremy.
Boom.
Control 1, hey, at least I get that thing out of the way. Alright, well, my name is Nightcrawler. You probably know me from a couple of streams. I'm a moderator at Cream Stream, and I'm also a moderator, and there's a lot of things that I'm into. I'm a avid Nightcrawler fan, so I mean, if you can't tell already by the comics that are lined up on my wall,
Never would have guessed.
or the hat, because the hat just is a dead giveaway. Also, I've gotten into D&D the last 2 or 3 years now. Played a couple editions of 3.5, and I believe I played a little bit of 2nd edition, and a little bit of 5th edition. I'm enjoying the 5th edition a lot more because of the more roleplay aspect of it. It's not based on all the numbers like the others are. I'm enjoying that, and I'm excited for this campaign. I hope you guys enjoy this.
Sweet. Thank you. Who's up next?
Me and Stephanie tied, so ladies first.
Aww.
Oh.
What a gentleman.
Okay,
Right?
so my name is Stephanie.
See what you did there.
Yeah, I know. And I am the oldest person on this stream. I have somebody speaking behind me, so I'm going to tell them to leave the room. Child. Thank you.
She stuck her tongue out at you, by the way.
Alright, so I am the wife of the one over there that I'm looking at now. So when I randomly look over there, I'm looking at the Dungeon Master. I've got 2 kids who are tweens, and
Yeah,
God
children.
help me.
Let's call them that, not demons.
Yeah. I told Eli he was a slave earlier. He said he was going to report me.
You just did it yourself. Good job.
Yeah. I love board games. I've been playing board games since I was really little, and my family's always gotten some of the weirder games, like Balderdash, which apparently nobody else has played. We aren't allowed to play Monopoly in this household anymore. We have a huge collection of board games. I've been doing D&D with Damien for about the last
15 years.
about 15 years, yeah. I don't know. Marcus was my first DM. That's sad. Anyway.
Yeah, 13, 14 years, something like that.
And ta-da, that's me. I'm not really interesting.
Well, I disagree with that, but thank you. My name is Sile. My internet name is Legitbox, and I'm a productions caster who goes by the Twitch channel Legitbox Gaming. My D&D story started in high school, which believe it or not, was only like 6 or 8 years ago. Sorry, Damien. But I started playing D&D there. But that's not where I started gaming. I started playing tabletop war games when I was 3.
Nice.
I started competitive painting when I was 5, and by the time I was 8, I was playing in gaming tournaments all over the Colorado, and we moved to Ohio, the Ohio area, whether it was Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Warhammer. It didn't matter. If there was a tournament, my dad would talk me into going. And then I found D&D, fell in love with it. Went to college and played D&D as many times as 6 times a week. And then after college, in between jobs, I was doing 8 or 9 D&D sessions, or new WAD or old WAD, what have you, sessions a week. Got really heavy into modding and streaming. Then I found a job, and all that went on hold. But it's nice to get back into Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm really excited to have 5e. Like Nightcrawler said, it really brings back the RP into role playing. So
Sweet.
that leaves you, Dan.
Yep.
That leaves me.
Last
I'm
and
Dan.
least.
I've known Damien and Stephanie for 15, 20 years, however long it's been. Really just, I guess, about myself. I got a wife and 2 kids, loving it. I'm a senior software engineer for Cerner Healthcare. I just basically sit here all day long. This is what I do. So, that's about it for me. I'm an avid gamer. I pretty much game as much as I can. Whenever the kids are asleep and I can get away, that's what I do. And I've played pretty much all different sets, different game environments, and as far as D&D or just role playing in general. And I'd have to say that 5th edition is probably my favorite also, just because of how simple it is. I'm also a big fan recently of the Dungeon Crawl Classic. That was a lot of fun. The first time I played that was about a year ago, and I liked how simple it was too. Very rules light. I don't know if it's maybe the more you play, the more you really appreciate how few rules there are. So
It's definitely for the creative.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it.
Sure.
There you go.
All right. Check mark 1 off the itinerary. Oh, I didn't go over. We'll probably plan to do a break every hour on the hour, but if for some reason we're good to go, then we'll just skip it. All right. So let's get right into the stat rolls. Let me switch so people can see what we're rolling. So all the no people that are watching can see what we're rolling.
Hey.
Oh, you're watching. I'm sorry. You're watching.
Right.
My bad. And I randomly determined who was going first with their stat rolls earlier. And Jeremy, you got number 1, Mr. Nightcrawler.
Yay!
So you,
I would be first. I'm first in introduction. So now, right here. Might
Yep.
as well, right?
46, drop 1 6 times. If you get really shitty, use standard array.
Well, that's painful. When standard arrays your saving grace,
Yep.
that's a bad point in life.
It's better than no saving grace and just getting stuck with a bunch of 7s and 8s.
Nothing's worse than that 6.
Alright, so how many? 6?
46 dropped the lowest, and so 46 D1 and 6 of them. There, see, you're off.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Hey, that's, you
man.
you beat standard array, that's for sure.
There's not an 8 in there.
Yeah.
No.
That's a pretty well balanced stat rolls. Hard to make fun of.
14.
Oh, we can still make fun of the fact that there's no 17
see
speaking
5.
out.
Oh yeah.
He's got one above mine
Yeah,
when
one
I
above.
typed out 46 less 1.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was trying to be helpful and he beat me to it.
Awesome. Alright.
I'm gonna write
A
these
little bit.
down.
Yeah, those are some really good stats, actually.
14, 11, 14, 15, 14, 10. Not bad. But yeah, I agree. You can make fun of him. There's nothing over a 15 there. I mean, how can you be a superhuman with a best stat of being a 17 after modifiers?
How dare you only be 9 points over human?
Right. Jeez.
Now, one of the changes in 5e, if I picked it up correctly from the rules, is 20 is more of like a hard cap for stats, isn't it?
20 is a hard natural cap. Some magic items like set your stat at a specific number, and some spells. So like the basic Bell of Giant Strength sets it at like 20 or 22 or something like that. And the best version of the Bell of Giant Strength, which is like a Storm Giant or something like that, is a 29. So that's the max cap, and then even then it only affects certain stats that can get magic items that take them up that high.
So we're not going to see the crazy like 87 AC because of Dexterity Monks in this edition.
Oh.
Definitely not. I'm not super familiar with all the magic items, but I'm not even sure there's really one that sets your dex very high at all.
Yeah.
I don't think there is, but I
I
could
just
be wrong.
remember the grind of 4th edition where everything required 30 stats or higher.
And oh, now that you've rolled out those stats for Tyrnel, do you want to tell us a little bit about him? Just a couple sentences so everyone's got an idea of what kind of character those stats are going with.
Well, let me see. I wrote it out a little bit here. Restream, kind of deeping out. Basically, let me just read it off here to make it a lot easier here. Alright, well, Tyrnel, he grew up with his aunt and his uncles, well, in the household of the aunt and his uncle. His mother lived with him. Now, the reason being is, his father, was a mercenary who, was away throughout all his childhood, and his father came back when he when he was becoming of the age ready to, accept his responsibilities and whatnot. And he stayed for a few months to train his son, Tyrnel, in the ways of combat and defense, and he was called to battle again, and his father asked the local knight to continue his training while he was away, and Tyrnel learned different ways of tracking and hunting, and provided food for various members of the village that couldn't do so for themselves because, likewise, his father was away. Their fathers were away as well. And also defending against goblin raids. The goblins tend to see, hey, there's food, and they tend to raid a lot. And with Tyrnel's training and a couple of other people, they were able to start defending off with that. After a 2-year stint, no sign of communication with his brother at all. Tyrnel has now decided he is going to be in search of his father, and that's pretty much about Tyrnel.
Cool. Sounds good. We'll have to figure out where that starting village is sometime in the next little bit. I got an idea that might work for you. But in the meantime, let's move on to contestant number 2, Stephanie, who's playing Philly, the Mountain Dwarf Barbarian, right?
That's right.
Alright, so do your stat roll and then tell us who those stats are going to.
Alright, so I have a macro.
PNC. Damn, those are pretty good too.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
Alright, let's see here.
I even got a 16.
But no 17. Let's see, somebody legit fell out of
my roll 20 said it's refreshing. I don't know what that's about.
That's cool.
Yeah. I'm still on Skype though. So I got that.
15, 10, 12. So 16, 13, 11, 15, 10, 12. Again, no negatives.
Alright, I'm back in. I don't know what that was, but I'm
Welcome
here.
back.
Yay.
Alright, so tell us a little bit about Philly, the Mountain Dwarf Barbarian.
Alright, so I copied Dan's post that he did on the forum for Harmony, so I'm just going to read off of that. Alright, so
Hey.
growing up under the mountain for a mountain dwarf is the best childhood possible. So, Fernilde Stonecutter had doting parents that loved and coddled her, and at an early age she was allowed to help in her father's mine. When she was 40, which is still a little young for a dwarf, her mother died giving birth to a son. Fernilde watched as her grief-stricken father attempted to raise his son. She had no mothering instincts, so she took over her father's position in the mine, learning the craft from the workers that she grew up around. As the boy grew up, it was clear that he was slow-witted, not in a mean sense, but he just wasn't prepared to be at all what he was supposed to be. But her father continued to raise the boy, and by the time he was 30 and Fernilde was 70, the elder Stonecutter decided that he was going to come back to work and bring his son and bring his heir with him to teach him the trade. Fernilde was sent to the mines. She was never thanked and she was never praised for keeping the family business aloft for the last 3 decades. So Fernilde had enough. She was not going to be pushed aside by a half-wit younger brother. She arranged for a strike and got all of the miners to quit working for a week. At the end of the week, and they all came back, there was a guard waiting, and her father stood in front of the guards, pointed her out and said, "This woman is not my daughter. She is not a stonecutter. She will be exiled." And the guard escorted her to the surface. So she's no longer Fernilde. She started calling herself Philly, because that was what her brother called her, because he couldn't say her name. She hunted and gathered everything that she needed to survive. She traded furs for anything that she couldn't get from the wild. She's wandered into Crystal Gate to make her trades, and she could easily be convinced to stay in the large bustling city. She is, for personality traits, which I took out of the book. It says, "I place no stock in wealthy or well-mannered folk. Money and manners don't save you from a hungry owlbear." Ideals, I made this one up myself. "I hope to prove to my family someday that they were wrong to exile me. I'd be happy to come back to them, but they have to admit that they were wrong." For bonds, I was forced into seclusion because I wanted something I couldn't have. And for flaws, I remember every insult that I've received and nurse a silent resentment toward anyone who's ever wronged me. And if you click on the form for Harmony, you can see a picture that I took from somebody, and I have no idea who to give it credit for it. So if it is yours, let me know and I will give you credit.
Yeah, right.
Exile.
Yep.
Sweet.
So, random luck, because this is the same order we had on the player introductions. Legit, you're up next.
Alright.
And you're playing Bex, B-E-X?
B-E-X.
The
exiled mountain dwarf seafaring warlock. Oh, the 9!
Oh!
Yeah, but you got 2
makes
16s
it
out
up.
of that.
First negative.
Yep.
Yeah, but I'll take the double 16 for a negative.
Alright, let's see. What do we got here? An 11. 14,
Take that point, Mike.
16, 11, and a 9.
Y'all can make fun of me for the 9, and then my double 16s will just be sitting right there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There you go.
That's pretty solid.
I'm pleased with that. I've had infinitely worse characters. A lot.
That's one of the great things, to sidetrack just a little, about Dungeon Crawl Classics, but you have to be the person who can accept it, is straight 3d6 in order.
Painful.
So you roll a 5, that's your strength. You roll a 7, that's your con, or dex.
It definitely changes up how you have to play a wizard with 11 strength and 4 intelligence.
Yeah. Oh, and random classes and stuff too. So
There you go.
races and classes.
Fun stuff.
Total random. But anyway, we're not playing that, so not this time. Saving that for a later day. Alright, so let's hear a little bit. I know you guys a lot, so you can pick and choose how much you want to go over with Bex.
Yeah, I have an intro for Bex, and then I'll pull a little bit out of the timeline, but I want to leave a lot for you guys to just discover, because Bex is quite a character. Like I said, Bex is a warlock. We'll learn more about how and why that came to be. He's actually a mountain dwarf who was exiled, and if you speak Dwarven, he's very clearly exiled because he has the tribal tattoos of an exile on his face. So he doesn't hide it, he embraces it. So let me give you the intro of Bex. Sort of like one day when he's famous, this is what people will say about him. Called many a name in my youth, from hey you to lunatic, it should come as little surprise to say that I felt, nor feel any real love to my mountain kin. A stuck-up pile of basalts, the lot of them. Just because I had a small tendency to use magic for basically any and everything I ever did, ever, the Crystal Keepers, they love to go on and on and on, and get all steamed up about the dangers of magic and crystals mixing together. Like it's my fault that they care more for Top Dweller's coin than the fiery passions of kin and kind. Long story short, my life of spellful bliss and leisure must have steamed off the wrong sort of stone-headed lunker trolls in the council. And let me tell you, a greater pile of worthless statues couldn't be found in a blind goblin stone carver's waste pile. 'Cause they cast me out and stripped me of both clan and kind. That's right, they took away my last name. Well, I says a mossy tomb to them that done it, and set out upon my future. My ma once told me a tale along the veins of men who, with nothing left on land and hold, took to the seas and made the world their own. Now I gots to say, I like the sound of that. Bex, the mountain of the sea. And to sort of put a little timeline on Bex, because he's quite a character with a busy life. He was exiled at the age of 37, which is sort of like leaving your home at a 15-year-old human. He started out at the sea working on a fishing trawler. One day, he got taken over by pirates, showed off some of his magical tendencies, and started working for the pirates. Some time passed, and he really fell in love with the warlock powers and the gifts that it gave. But getting really strong always has consequences. And 10 years to the day after he got exiled, you can find him in the cheapest, slummiest bar, burning away his last coins on cheap ale and even cheaper wine. And he's got some pretty sad looks in his eyes. A couple of things that are interesting character stuff. He's, like I said, he's exiled, and anyone who can read or understand Dwarven culture can see it immediately. He has it on his face. He's covered in tattoos, bald, with a nice beard full of seashells. He always smokes a bubble pipe and prefers to chew on jerkied seaweed and kelp.
Nice.
His hobbies, as he'll tell you happily, include fishing, cooking, drinking, tormenting halflings, being a pirate, and drinking. He also loves fishing, tormenting halflings, fancy wines and cheeses. And he specifically hates long sunny days and stone-headed lurker trolls, also known as Dwarven guilds. Other than that, he sort of harassed the sea for 10 years, so he does have a bit of a bad rep, and kind of wherever he goes, people stay out of his way, or make a point to start a fight with him. So it's not an easy life for Bex. His classic signature is the trident that he carries on his back, and a couple of really unused looking daggers on his belt. That's about it for Bex.
Nice. Alright. That's pretty good.
Yep. He does not look like Thor the Thunder Frog, I promise.
What?
Yeah.
Thorg! Alright. That leaves us with Dan, who's playing Thomas Wilkins, a cleric of Lumiere, who's human? No, half-elf.
Half-elf. Yep. Alright, let's see.
Crush it.
Bam!
That 18 on the board.
What?
Eat it, boys.
I hate you. I hate you so much.
666.
Wow.
That is beautiful.
Just think, you could have started out as a dwarf and had 20 constitution. Instead, you chose to have pointy ears.
Yep.
Yep. All right.
18. So
Wow.
we got a 14, 12, 10, double 50. Really,
Best roll ever.
that's about as fucking good as you can do. And really, altogether, I'm gonna have to throw some harder shit at you guys. It's just what these die rolls tell me, because those are, as a group average, pretty fucking good.
Yeah. All of us rolled really well.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't believe there's only one negative, and that could be just barely.
It's a -1.
Yeah, I mean, no one got a 7. No one had 2 8s or anything like that.
No one got a 5. I figured it would be me. It usually is.
Yep.
And if you want to take a 5, we'll let you replace the 15.
Or the 18, whichever one you want. But yeah, alright. So that's pretty good. Let's hear who these ridiculous stats go to.
Yes. So I'm playing Thomas Wilkins. We'll be going by Tom. He is a cleric of Lumiere. Basically, the way that half-elves work is typically when the high elven females, they go on basically like a journey when they reach an age of maturity, and that is called Oblivious. I don't know how to pronounce that exactly, and usually what that means is they leave the elven lands for like 50 to 100 years. They go out, they experience the world, and typically they have children that they just abandon during that time. And that's what happened for Tom. He was a byproduct of the female high elf and a human that got abandoned, dropped off at a cathedral, and was raised by the church in an orphanage. And that's basically what happened. He grew up in the church and became, very interested in education and stuff like that. And at some point, he got, promoted up to basically like a priest on a journey, and was shocked by, the state of the world, basically, how terrible it was. And now he's deciding to become a cleric, and he is going to do whatever he can to right the wrongs that he saw in the world.
It's not me. Okay. And we got some sound coming through on your end, on legit.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. Just some air flowing through your mic.
You're breathing.
My bad. I didn't even realize. I switched headset sides. I didn't think about that. There we go. Now it should be better.
That's good.
That's my bad.
That's alright.
I guess the other thing I think most everybody went over is like personality traits and stuff. Tom, he's often quoting and sometimes misquoting stuff from the sacred text. He doesn't like anybody who feels like they are better than the lower people or the common folk. His ideal is that no matter what, he will always help people who can't help themselves or if they're in need. His bond is basically the same thing, in that he will do whatever it takes to cleanse darkness that's spreading across the world, or evil, basically. And then his flaws are that he's kind of realizing that the church is not necessarily dancing to their own music there. They're saying one thing, and their actions kind of show something a little bit different than that. So he's got a little internal struggle there as far as, his idea and what he was raised to believe and what's actually happening.
Sweet. Sounds good. Quick question for you, Nightcrawler. Jeremy, what's I'm pretty sure I asked this before, but I've forgotten the answer. You might already have it on your sheet. I should probably just look. But did you choose Wood Elf or High
Wood
Elf?
Elf. Wood Elf.
That's what I thought. I was pretty sure of that, but I couldn't remember for some reason. Cool. And Half Elf doesn't have a sub race, so yeah.
It's gonna be a very interesting party walking through town.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what do we actually look like? Because I'm a girl and I need to know these things.
Well, I'll start. I am rather short, even for a dwarf, coming in at a whopping 5'2", although with my boots it's really 5'3", so let's get it right. My left ear has 8 silver earrings, one for each of the not as important gods, and then I have a turquoise earring in my right ear for the Tempest god of the seas, the one that matters. My attire is ragged and abused. It's just like really torn up leather. And the best way to describe him is a bald dwarf covered in tattoos from head to toe. Some are in dwarven, some look like they're runic, and some just look like tribal lines and squiggles that pirates would get. I'm pretty muscular, but obviously malnourished, and for the most part, it's if I have a little bit of hair right here, it just has seashells in it. The rest of me is kept completely bald to show off more tattoos.
Cool.
Yeah, scurvy gets to you.
I ate them oranges.
Beer. Beer is my orange.
And you got a picture. I think both of the other of you guys have pictures, don't you?
Surprisingly hard to find a picture of a skinny dwarf.
I have a picture for mine, but I don't. That's more for reference because it's a barbarian dwarf female, and those are also extremely hard. She's pretty tan for a mountain dwarf because she's been out under the sun like our pirate has been. Hair is bleached out quite a bit. She's got violet colored eyes, which make her kind of obviously a mountain dwarf as opposed to a hill dwarf. And she comes in at, I think, 4'10".
Wow, you're huge for a dwarf.
No, 4'8".
Still
4'8". Yes. And yeah, she's not stocky, but she's definitely muscular, and she wears a leather bustier because honestly, running without some sort of actual protection there is not an option.
Makes sense.
I guess I would say, come up and say Tyrnil actually has long brown hair. Each side of the hair, the left side actually has green dye a little bit, kind of on the tips, green dye on the tips on the left side, and then blue dye on the tips on the right side. So it's just something that you can ask him about what's going on with that.
Okay.
With the size and whatnot, I have him here. He is. Where'd he go? Alright, he's 4'11". He weighs 100 pounds, and he's got blue-green eyes as well. So they change based on how he feels. Tan-skinned, and he's not athletic. Well, he's athletic, but he's not really either skinny or muscly either. He's just,
like a runner's body.
Right.
Cool. Sounds good. Is that everybody on physical appearance, or did we get Thomas? I can't remember.
No. So he's a half elf. Tom is a half elf. He's got kind of rugged brown hair. The slightly pointed ears. Basically human features. Other than that, As far as size, he's, let's see, did I put down? Oh, he's age 38.
Over 5 feet tall.
He's 5'9", weighs 175.
We have one person who can reach the top shelf alcohol.
Without
He's got
stool.
blue eyes. Male,
I have a
of
quarter
course.
staff. I'll just nudge it down.
Mhm. And that's about it. You know.
You're still an elf,
Still.
man.
Nice. All right. Let me pull this up.
The party strife begins. Words and two elves walk down a bar.
Yep. Alright, well, if you guys want to take a little bit of time, if you haven't already entered like your stats in on your sheet, I'll read over a little bit of a timeline of the world that would be relevant. Some of you probably already read this, but in case not, or even if you have, a little refresher. The world of Zimla has had a steady and progressive climb in magic and technology throughout its history, but within the last 100 years, the power of arpeggio crystals has been unlocked by the mages in the capital city of Crystal Gate. And these crystals, which when played correctly, which is slang, played correctly is slang for tuning them magically, they have mysterious energy that has been harnessed to power many things, such as guns, airships, land ships, and even an entire floating citadel, rumor. Timeline wise, in the last 100 years ago was the discovery by the wizard Azartan, who is no longer living. 400 years ago, Crystal Gate was founded, and over that time it's become a melting pot hub and the capital of the region Mach-Varn, and it's also, as stated before, where the arpeggio crystals were discovered. About 1,000 years ago was the unification of the Redney Prime region, and those are the entirety of the human empires. They've been renamed Mach-Varn in that time. And about 1,050 years ago, is not that far back, where you have to go back and see that most of this region was under continuous wars between each of the different human councils and empires. And then about some of the different races of the world, halflings are a seafaring civilization that has been predominantly located in the Eileen region for 500 years. Actually, let me switch to a different overlay and I'll bring the map up while I do this too. And close all these Skypes on this one. There we go. And map for you guys. There we go. Fills up the whole screen. Good. Alright. Where was I? Halflings. Dragonborn control much of what's called the Souterrain and have been a prominent civilization for nearly 1,200 years. Before that, they were very they were just more spread out and less centralized. They're very clan-like in nature. The Dwarven kingdoms are prominent in both the Great Mangua and Frozen Mangua, which are Dwarven terms for mountains, and both of those regions have been under steady the same steady rulership system for a couple thousand years. High Elves lay claim to the plainlands of Reyna Fey. Thought my camera not again. And Wood Elves exist throughout the jungles of both Pippintor and Arlenay, and my camera is messing up, isn't it? Weird. Anyway, the High Elves' current kingdom has existed for well over 3,000 years. Wood Elves don't really have any specific rulership or anything like that. They're tribal in nature and spread out throughout their jungles. So there's various histories for each of the tribes. And gnomes, presumably, according to myth and legend, have a kingdom known as the Fivendales, but very little is known about them or their history. They're very rarely seen, and if their exact existence, if anyone's ever seen them, is always speculative at best. Most people don't believe them to be a real thing. And even with the advent of airships, travel into the Fivendale region has been impossible to date, for a wide variety of factors. Now, something you as players may not have already known is the region of Mokvaran, which was originally many human kingdoms, often warring over petty religious conflicts until they were unified by Kvaros the Everlasting. The line of Kvaros Everlasting was married off into the various courts of the kingdoms in the region until eventually all the heirs of each kingdom were his descendants. And once that was achieved, he was able to peacefully unify the region and end basically all war and conflict more or less instantly without hardly any bloodshed. And at the time of unification, Kvaros was 150 years old as a human, and then for the next 120 years of his life was spent trying to make the Crystal Gate, the city of Crystal Gate, a major hub in the world and turning it into the beautiful kingdom that it is now. That's a good freeze frame for me. Yep. Fix that. Mouth wide open. I mean, 1 second while I get that back up.
That's how you become internet famous, Damien.
I don't want to be that kind of internet famous. How about that? I'll pass. Thank you. And Kvaros the Everlasting, his name turned out to be not entirely true, as he passed on his 278th birthday, which was also the birth of his great to the 12th grandchild, who would be named Princess Elise. Once she was old enough to be ruler, once she turned 16, she became the first true ruler of the region that wasn't Kvaros. 20 generations of heirs later leads to the current ruler, Lornik III. And there's been a little bit of shakeup among the kingdom with Lornik, because he's been a little more aggressive with laws pertaining to the general justice, as far as thievery, you know, dealing with those kinds of things. Instead of just putting people in jail, he's pushed for more aggressive acts, you know, hand for hand kind of stuff. Public hangings have become more common. In general, he's just very adamant against all forms of crime and corruption, and some people like him for it, but a lot of people don't like the way he goes about it.
And he's at Crystal Gate?
Yeah. Yep. The ruler of Mokvaran. Yep. And that's where you're at. So good job.
Yeah. What a town to wash up in.
Yeah. But these things are still being there is a little bit of checks and balances with the council in the city that keeps him from being able to just completely radically change everything. So it's a progressive change. You know, there is resistance within the hierarchy in the country, but it is definitely slowly picking up steam in his favor. There are 9 known gods of the world. There is Pisush, the god of life, Lumiere, the god of light, Nostra Corona, the good goddess of knowledge. There are 3 neutral deities: Reva, the goddess of war, Lucas, a god of trickery and luck, Kalikasan, the god of nature, and the evil domain deities are Krong, the god of death, Tempest, the goddess. Really, I'm frozen again? Man, I can't wait till that new webcam gets here. Tempest, the goddess of tempest, and Nostrages, the evil god of knowledge and secrets. And let me try and fix my cam again, cause it's being a bitch. Mess up all my overlay.
You'll get a new one when it matters.
Yeah. Well, I could hook up the one they sent me, but for every time I do, I can't get good picture quality out of it. I don't know why.
Because it's a mouse.
Oh, that's right.
Well, it did say webcam when you ordered it, so.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was very confused when I opened the package. I'm like, yeah, finally, let's check this shit out. Mouse. What the fuck? I didn't order a mouse. What do I need? A $10? And it's not even a good mouse, right? This is like the basic ass wired Microsoft brand mouse.
Still has
You
a
want me to
ball.
go grab it? We can show it.
Yeah, that's alright. Fuck that thing. I'm not sending it back yet. They sent me the shipping label to return it while the other one's in the mail. I was like, when I get the fucking thing I ordered, you can have your piece of crap mouse back. Then I'll send it back.
Hey, real quick, Damien, can you go over why me playing with magic around crystals would be grounds for exile? Because it's pretty important to the world too, isn't it? Magic, how they interact.
Right. So the crystals are charged. The spells that charge the crystals have been kept under wrap by the Matriarch, which is the ruling wizards, human wizards in Makavarn, and of course people will try to tinker with them, more or less like reverse engineer, figure out the spells, and a lot of times that ends with the crystals discharging and the power that's in them releases, which is usually like a small bomb. If it's a large enough crystal, the smaller the crystal, the lesser the effect. So if you don't know what you're doing, or if you incorrectly if you cast something on it and it fractures the structure of the crystal, then it can be pretty dangerous. The ones in the mines usually aren't charged, but some dwarves, like, they have to be brought out, cut, and then the human mages with their rituals casting charge the crystals. But the dwarves, some dwarving mining operations have taken to using the crystals to basically create what would more or less be a steam mining machine, only instead of steam powered, it's crystal powered. So if
My father's mine doesn't do that.
yeah, some of the mining operations that have taken to doing that are kind of looked at as more kind of traders, people doing that quick money grab without any consultation for the possible ramifications of doing these things. So yeah, so with your magic, if you were to cast an Eldritch Blast a little too close to one of these drills, then you could collapse a whole mining system.
I use magic for everything. If I needed to like get over a puddle, I just magic. It got me in trouble.
Yep.
But it made my life easy. I never had to do anything.
Yep. That's all that matters.
And how are you skinny?
Scurvy. Scurvy.
Yep.
Beer apparently does not contain enough vitamin C.
Yep.
Maybe if I had an elf cleric, something like an intelligent person there to tell me to eat oranges instead of just spending all our money on beer and salted pork, I'd be fine. But dwarf pirate ships have mostly just beer.
Yep. Most pirate ships, but especially dwarf.
Rum.
Beer.
Rum's too expensive. Beer is much cheaper for the crew.
All right. Has anyone got any questions on character sheets or filling out their character sheet?
The only thing I'm still missing is the spell book for that level 1 warlock.
I think what we need to do is we also need to roll how rich we are.
You can either roll if you want. That's optional. You can use the recommended gear for your class, or you can roll for your money, which is in the beginning of the equipment chapter. So that's up to you. If you want to roll for it, go ahead and roll for it.
I think it did my character a lot. So let's see. We are doing this. So we'll believe I'm doing a 5d4, and then I times that by 10, so 560.
You have 160 more gold than I do right now. Hey, at least your camera goes with a happy face, Damien.
God damn it. This time my light's still on like it's working, but it's clearly not. Son of a...
We forgive you.
Do you want the cheap-ass one from 2005?
Yeah, the cheap camera's working better. Okay. So yeah, 160 gold.
I was actually, speaking on cameras, I was actually going to go and get the adapter for the Xbox Connect, so I'll connect it to my computer, and I just not got to it yet.
The 360 Connect or the Xbox One Connect?
360.
Okay. Let me bring back up my itinerary here. Yeah. So your spells, if you have a completely sanctioned, legit version of the PDF, basically, with filling out the spell section, everything that you can put in on the spell, or all the spell description that exists, you'll be able to copy and paste pretty much everything into each correct box. So the description, any bonuses or enhancements it gets at higher levels, attacks if it requires an attack roll, saves if it requires a save, all that stuff. And then anything it doesn't use, you just hide, and then when you click the cast button for that spell, it's going to show everything pertinent to it.
Okay.
And
yeah, at level 1 I have 2 cantrips, 2 spells, 1 slot, and first level. So I'm assuming it works like 3-5, right, where I can pick 2 cantrips from those available, 2 spells from those available, but I only have 1 spell slot per rest period, right?
Right. The cantrips are permanent. And
so they're like at wills?
Yeah, they're like at wills from 4th edition. And yeah, 1 spell slot, 2 spells known. I don't think warlocks get any like bonuses.
I get a +2 proficiency. That's about it. My stuff.
Well, I mean, like any extra spells, like based on stats or anything. I don't.
No,
think
they don't.
Mine come in with packs. So as I hit like level 2, level 3, my warlock relationships start to pay off.
Right. Yeah. So at first level, you'll be able to cast 1 of 2 spells once per long rest, and a long rest is basically sleep, 8 hours.
Is it 1 per short rest for warlocks? I think that's the trade-off. Warlock spells reset on short rest.
Does it?
Yeah, and then my invocations, which start happening later in the game, those are long rests. That's the trade-off why warlocks have so few spells.
You're right. It does refresh on short or long rest. So a short rest is about an hour or more.
Okay.
A rest of at least an hour, where you're not doing any physical exertion.
The really nice thing about the warlocks is once you get later level, every spell you cast is of the highest level spell you are able to cast. So they become really powerful.
Yep.
The machine guns.
Yep, pretty much. And let me switch this back.
Okay.
It
Well, I'll go ahead
says
and
you get
pick up.
3 cantrips.
At level 1?
Or, wait, no, am I looking at wizard?
You must be looking at wizard.
Yeah.
I'd enjoy
sorry.
a third cantrip, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, you get your otherworldly patron, your pact magic, cantrips, and 2 spells known.
I'll go ahead and go through those. I already had them picked out, but I wanted to make sure that I was actually doing it correctly.
Mhm.
There's nothing worse than realizing that you have twice as many or half as much.
Right. Let me read over the. If I can get on the right page.
Am I good to do a little testing on the sheet macros?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just
go ahead
don't
and
spam it.
you can go ahead and roll any fields that you filled out to make sure your stats and stuff are rolling correctly. If you got like your saves or your weapons, if you filled any of those in. I'll read over the rules to live by. So some clarifications, and I don't think really too much in the way it changes other than hero points, but about the only thing equipment wise I like to be any kind of a stickler about is if it's not on your sheet, you don't have it. So if you say, you know, we're walking through a dungeon, you're like, I'm going to pick up this short sword, and then, you know, 3 sessions later, you're like, oh yeah, I got a short sword. If it's not on your sheet, you didn't do it. So if you say you're picking something up, put it on your sheet, or if you buy something or whatever. And recovering ammo, I hate the monotony of being like rolling 50-50 for 7 shots fired. I got 3 pieces back. I gotta add those back on your stats. Only time you'll be docked ammo is if you're like firing it into a chasm or somewhere where it's completely impossible to recover it or something like that. Rolling a 1 on a skill check or ability check or a saving throw is not an automatic failure, as is sometimes the case in other editions. If the DC is low enough and you have a high enough ability score or modifier, then rolling a 1 you might still pass. But on attacks a 1 is still an auto miss. It's the only time it's an automatic. Rolling a 20 on a skill check, ability check, saving throw is not a guaranteed success. Same thing. So if the DC is high enough and your modifier isn't good enough, might not. But if it's an attack, obviously a 20 is still, that's a crit. Double damage or better depending on your class and abilities and shit. But failure to make or meet a DC on a check or save doesn't always result in total failure. Sometimes if it's dramatic or makes sense, if you're close enough, you will succeed with a setback. So we kind of did like a test session the other day and last week, and Dan's character was a barbarian and he was busting down doors and that were you know, cheap wooden doors in this old ass crypt, and it's like, well, he didn't roll high enough the first time. Second time he with his strength, he's eventually going to bust the door open, and you know, he jarred it loose on the first one. Maybe he failed on the second roll too, but it's still good enough because, you know, but why waste everybody's time? And you know, maybe the first time he tried to bust it open, he woke up some skeletons who were in the crypt in the next room, which happened. So that's something to remember. And we're
We
doing.
learned to knock. That's when we learned to just go ahead, check, see if the door actually opens first.
Yep. Knocking is an option in a dungeon. You don't have to just open the door. Or you don't have to just kick in the door. I know I told Legit about this, but I don't remember if we went over this with Jeremy with Nightcrawler. Leveling will be on a milestone basis. I'm not going to dole out XP per encounter or per session.
Okay.
So we'll most likely level 2 will be we'll probably hit that after 1 session, level 3 after another, level 4 after a couple more after that, and then it'll be 2 to 3 sessions per level after that. The only exceptions will be if for some reason you get stuck in a place where it doesn't make sense to be able to level up for an extended period of time. If you get stuck in some kind of alternate dimension or a pocket dimension or something like that for a while, then that would be the only exception to that. And finally, hero points. So instead of using the inspiration system, which is a fine system, but it can slow the game down just a little bit with when you remember that you can pass it out, but also it's easy to forget to pass it out, and don't want that. So we'll use hero points. Each character starts with 5 hero points at first level. Each time you gain a level, you'll lose any unspent hero points, so use them or lose them. And when you level up, you gain a new total equal to 5 plus half the level. So level 2 you'll get 6, level 4 you'll get 7, etc. Player can spend a hero point whenever you make an attack roll, an ability check, or a saving throw. The player can spend the hero point after the roll is made, but before I tell you if it's a success or not. So if you're pretty sure a 12 is not going to hit, you can go ahead and use it before I say hit or miss. Spending the hero point allows the player to roll a d6 and add it to the d20, possibly turning a failure into a success. You can only spend 1 point per roll, and whenever you fail a death saving throw, you can use your hero point to turn a failure into a success. And yeah, and I already added those on your sheet. You might have noticed as a class resource.
I did notice that, yes.
So, and then, yeah, that's that. Where's my stream? Here we go. All kinds of rolls going on here. Guiding bolt. Is everything looking like it's working right with the sheet? I don't see anything that looks weird on any of these.
Yeah, so far everything looks great. I think it's all working.
Cool. Rundown of sheets and test rolls. That's what we're doing right now. Oh yeah, I need everybody. Let me get to the right section in my book.
Trinkets?
Yep.
Yay.
Let's use the same order as before.
Wait, what are we doing?
In reverse. So let's start with Dan.
Trinkets.
Roll a D100.
Oh, goody. This is gonna be fun. Come on, Dan. Roll low.
High or low doesn't matter on this one.
Oh, darn.
It's a very well randomized list. Alright, what'd you get?
72.
72. A silver teardrop earring made from a real teardrop.
Yay.
Baller, man.
Yeah, that's pretty badass.
That's pretty cool. Alright, legit. Give me a D100.
You got it, boss. 3!
Alright.
Is that good? I don't know. I didn't actually look at the trinket items.
This works great with your character. It's
Perfect.
a gold coin minted in an unknown land.
It's a doubloon.
How about that?
You want to give me a little fluff description of that coin there? Is it like a Chuck E. Cheese token?
No, it's a regular. Here we go. It's about this size. Can you see that? Let's see my camera.
Yes.
So here's a D6.
There we go.
So it's about that size. And the minting on it is a symbol of a tree
Okay.
on one side, and the other side
It's a book.
is a book.
It's a book.
Alright, let's go with that. I like it. An open tome.
So for my earring,
Mm-hmm.
after the trip that Tom took, he came back and he went to the high priest and he said, I've had a revelation. I'm going to be a cleric of the light. I'm going to go out and cleanse the evil of the world and bring justice and all this other stuff. And the high priest said that he would think on it, which took 9 months, oddly enough, for him to think about it before he would have finally approve it.
I didn't know.
But the night that he went to the high priest and told him that, he went to bed and he woke up in the middle of the night with a searing pain in his ear, and that's what it was. It was that trinket, and it was in his ear, and he's tried to take it out a couple times. He actually can't. So
nice.
That's the lore on that.
Mine makes great sense for my character. The only thing that makes sense for me to have that is that tragic moment in my life, Damien. That could be the little token of mocking from the bad guy captain.
Gotcha.
My only clue.
Yep.
Does that work for you?
Yeah, that's good. I like it.
All right.
All right. Who's up next? I think it's Stephanie.
It would be Stephanie.
Yeah.
That probably gets to go last.
Give me a D100. What'd you
12.
get? A 12.
Oh.
A small cloth doll skewered with needles.
These all make ironic sense for our characters.
Okay, tell me how that makes sense for my character.
It looks just like your father.
It looks like your brother or your father.
No,
But both.
no, I
Dwarfs are
want to
fierce.
go
That was
back
my answer.
eventually.
I guess that works, but I like the weird answer. It makes sense.
Well, now you got to figure out something else in your backstory, where you've acquired it or why you have it since then.
It looks like me.
Maybe.
I found it as I was being escorted out, and it looks like me. So maybe maybe something was done to me magically, and I'm carrying this around so I can try to find the source of it.
Voodoo
It
is
looks
no
like,
bueno.
yeah. It looks like me.
I'm on the wrong screen here. I should be showing these.
Come over to my chart.
Okay.
Alright, Jesus, let's go.
Do it. 70. Alright. I'd like to hear where you go with this. We'll have to. This is interesting. It's a small packet, a little brown paper pouch, filled with pink dust.
Aww.
It does.
Yep.
Makes perfect sense for a pointy ear.
Wow. God, man. That's why you fail.
Or is it a victory? Because the harder you gotta think about it, the better the item is, right? Isn't that?
Right.
No? Something like that.
We could say that he found while he was on a hunt, he found this packet in a tree, and didn't find the packet. He found the pink dust, and the packet was just something that he had on him on his person.
Okay.
So what this pink dust is, he took it back to the village, and they couldn't determine what it was, so he's looking out to find out what that is.
Alright. I like it.
How much it weighs?
I'd say it's pretty fine dust, so not much negligible weight, pretty much.
Okay.
Just like if you had like some really fine sand and a packet about this size.
Okay.
So
Random junk on the desk makes perfect sense.
props, man.
Yeah.
What is this? Anyway? Oh, it's a
multi-tool.
Yeah, it's multi-tool.
Multi-pass.
Lulu Dallas.
Oh, we love you that much more now.
Yep. Man, I saw something recently, and they were talking about how shitty the Fifth Element is, and I just wanted to reach into the screen and choke them all.
No.
And it's people, man, I don't know.
I mean, like the movie Fifth Element, one of like Bruce Willis's greatest moments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that's like saying Indiana Jones sucks.
Heard people say that too.
Well, I've also heard people say that the Buckeyes are a bad team.
We know they're wrong.
Some people enjoy D&D 4th edition.
National champs.
Ohio. For those of you
OH.
not familiar with Ohio, there's 4 people in here who cheer for the right team. And then
which is the red team.
Well, one of us is an iffy.
He's in an iffy zone, I
Yeah.
guess. What? Is that a... That's not the right letter. It's like this.
Yeah.
There you go.
H.
I grew
That's
up in
H.
Ohio, even though I live in Kentucky now.
Well, I have recently just recently decided that I hate my hometown team now. I just within the last week, I've decided I do not like them any longer.
You thinking
Who
you
is
might be
that?
a Buckeyes Blue Jacket kind of guy now?
I don't think so.
There's nothing wrong with CBJ.
I didn't say that either.
It's dangerous territory.
I'm not saying that. I'll keep my trap shut.
There we go.
There is a rule though. We need to make sure we're not allowed to say that state that's slightly up north.
Canada?
No, the state that looks like that.
It's like the asshole of America.
Give me
That's how we lose our 1 viewer, Damien.
I don't care. I don't care. We could have 500 viewers pop on right now, all from that state. Get out. Bye-bye. If you're rooting for Big Brother, I don't want to hear.
I got my spells all squared away. I'm just working on the macros right now because they take a little more work than my dagger's 1 input.
Awesome. Let's see. Do you guys? We're past our hour. If anyone wants to take a break.